Welcome back to Echo Ridge. Today we're going to start a brand new playthrough here in Auction Not Included. And some of you may recognize this start, and that's because this is the December of 2023 Chaos Crew Play Along. That's right, this time I'm going to be playing along as well. But a couple of quick notes on that. I'm going to make this a Let's Play for as long as it is viable, and then we're going to break off into more of tutorial-centric sort of videos. And the reason why is pretty simple. This is the playlist of our last max difficulty achievement run. And you may think that it's sorted by views, but unfortunately it's not. It's actually sorted by date. And as you can probably expect, the first video gets quite a bit of views. But the longer the series goes, typically the views go down. For instance, here at episode 10, Sleet Wheat Rocket Fuel, I have no idea what I was talking about, but we're down at 55,000 views, but we started at 185,000. If we head down to episode 20, you can see we're down to 27,000. Episode 30, around 24.5. And then finally we get down to episode 40 and 41, and you can see we're down all the way to 15,000 views. Now I promise you the quality of the content didn't change. It's just the fact that people have lives. Maybe they get bored with the series. Maybe they missed a few episodes and didn't really know how to catch back up, so they just dropped off the series. This is to be expected. So what my plan is to do maybe 10, 12, 15 videos on a Let's Play style and then switch it over to more of a tutorial style, focusing in on individual builds in a tutorial type of format that may still garner some more views. We're going to try it out, so we'll see. For now, though, we have this metallic swampy asteroid to worry about. And as you can see, there is very, very little water to start off with. I see this pond up here in addition to this little bit here. There's also one tile here, but other than that, there's not a lot of... Ooh, wait a minute. Yes, we have some water here. So it's not as dire, but it's still going to be a pain to get to. But one thing to note, because this is a metallic swampy, there isn't any geyser here that produces water. Yes, of course, we can tap the natural gas geyser and get polluted water from it, and then clean that polluted water to get regular clean water. And then, of course, we can take all the sources of mud, whether it be polluted mud or standard mud, put it through the salad spinner and get some water out of it. But the long story short is, old Gene, Ruby, and Travaldo are going to have a tough time to start with. Speaking of which, I'd like to introduce you to Gave Up the Digger Builder, Majan Lord, the Rancher Farmer, and Callie, who's going to be doing our research. For those you didn't know, whenever we print a new dupe, I go to my list of Patreon and YouTube members, and that's where I pull these names. So if you're interested in joining, you'll find some convenient links down in the description below. Now let's get this party started. So in taking a look at this, the first requirement that we have for clean water is because we need to fill the sinks for the bathrooms. But I don't trust this polluted dirt very much when it comes to this giant pool of polluted water sitting right next to it, so we're going to be pretty careful here with trying to put down a pincher pump. I think we're going to dig those out there, hopefully be able to reach that one there. And I suppose we're going to have to start digging this way, but unfortunately this is going to be sand, which is going to cause these plug slugs to drop. I don't love that, because as soon as there's any of this cobalt ore sitting around, the plug slugs are going to start eating it and then off-gassing hydrogen. Don't love that. So maybe we corner build with some tiles here and here to make sure they don't drop down, but eventually this oxalite's going to go away and we're still going to have the same problem. Not to mention the fact there's a bunch of polluted water here. So now I'm thinking what might be best is going down first. In the interest of speed, we can sort of do one of these style digs. That way we don't have to build ladders. And once we get down here, we can then open it up something like this. Well, I suppose not all the way over there, because then we'll lose our little pool here. And then maybe we can build some cots over here. Oh boy, this is going to be a messy one. Once we have the bare necessities down, then we can slow it back down and sort of build out the frameworks of our starting base. But for right now, I really want to make... Oh, boy, Callie, you're already starting to try to have some chaos, aren't you? We've got a dupe down. This is definitely my fault. I should have been paying attention to Callie. Let's remove this tile, cancel that deconstruction. Oh, look at that. Callie somehow used Olympic speed and skill and jumped all the way up there. With that disaster averted, we can put in our pitcher pump right here. I can rebuild that tile. All right, everything's looking okay. I stand corrected. The polluted water up here did fall through some mud, so we have a small mess. Let's go ahead and try to pick that up first. I suppose I could just let it drop into here. Oh, you gotta love the swamp biomes. We're just gonna let it fall straight down. It'll pull down in here and we can mop up the rest. This isn't exactly the playthrough that you need to be concerned with staying clean, because it's not going to happen. We've got our initial bathrooms in. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna hope it comes true, but this is just temporary. We want the initial bathrooms to be down so we don't have to worry about getting polluted water everywhere. Of course, that probably shouldn't be my main priority. I think while we're at it, we're just going to dig up this cobalt. All this mud should fall, and then allow this polluted water to also fall. There we go. That's pretty nice. We'll also put a door. We've got our initial barracks here. We've made sure to keep the plug slugs contained, and that way they don't start eating all this cobalt ore, at least until we can get it all moved. Now, when you start off on the Metallic Swampy, you notice that most of the oxygen here is polluted because of all the off-gassing water. It's to be expected. Of note, though, it means the duplicants are going to have the yucky lungs, which is going to cause them to breathe even more. In fact, about 30% more. So it is in your best interest to make sure you get all the polluted oxygen clean, but it's not a big priority. We still have about 4 blocks worth of time. I need to prioritize the building of the pitcher pump, and that way they fill up the wash basins before they go use the outhouse. You really don't want to get food poisoning germs and start spreading through all this polluted water. And it's not really a big deal anyways. You can technically change their entire schedule to work until the next day, and they'll still have enough stamina and food to get them to day 2. Of course, we don't do that here in Echo Ridge Gaming because we take care of our duplicants and they never get injured or hurt. But the option is available to you. We still have a little bit more time left in the shift. We've got 4 cots down, all the bathrooms are done, the wash basins are filled with clean water, and the outhouses are in. Now we're going to get our initial research in. Probably not going to finish it. We're going to start by putting the research station right up next to the printing pod, and that way the dupe will get the well-lit buff, but we're going to put the battery and the wheel down here. Yeah, it's going to cause a little bit of a longer run for your wire, but that's the least of our problems. Especially when we already have 15 tons worth of cobalt ore. It is a metallic swampy asteroid after all. And we're also going to be very, very careful with what we research. This is all the water we have for now. Gave Up is a snorer, so we're going to move Mason Lord over here. And that way Gave Up doesn't bother the person in the cot next to them. And when we do finally print another duplicant, they will naturally go to this cot, but they'll be on a different shift than Gave Up. So Gave Up can be as loud as they need to be. You can see by where the squares were of how large the range is that can affect the nearby sleepers. Despite us moving Mason Lord pretty quickly, they are still dead tired for this day. Notice it's going to last 0.6 cycles, which is a lot more significant than I like. They also lose 20% to immunity, -2 to science and athletics, and gain 20% stress. I don't know if dead tired is how I would describe it because we moved them as soon as they laid down. They still got a good night's sleep. Looking at this dumpster fire, I think the best for us is going to be digging down further. I'm not too worried about the temps until we get to this position here, but it looks like this was just how the cold spawned for whatever volcano this is, because I don't see any other cold around it. Oh, there might be a crashed satellite around here. Notice that the crashed satellites also cause a lot of cold temperatures when they spawn. The surrounding area absorbs it pretty quickly, but the last thing we need is to give the duplicants hypothermia on top of everything else. I'm going to disable the wheel until they finish the battery, and that way they don't sit there and keep running on it when we're not ready. Our research screen is unlocked. I do want to make sure we get the sludge press pretty soon on. And obviously the liquid pump's going to be very handy in moving all the water around. But I don't think this game is much different than the standard. So we're going to end up getting the jumbo battery first. And then hit into mess tables so we can build a mess hall. Then finally we'll go down here, grab the flower pot and the water cooler before heading off into advanced research, and that way we can get our great halls up and going. You may notice that there's a few extra things in the research now, and that's because I installed the mod of point of interest buildings, and all it does is add all the cool little things that you see in and around the maps, so whenever we want to make cool bedrooms, we can. But they're nothing really game changing. They do provide a little bit of decor, but nothing outside the normal. I was building a floor for this area here, and as funny as it is, we've ran out of sedimentary rock. Not a lot of raw minerals in and around here, at least until we get to this massive vein here, and that will set us up very nicely. I think I'm going to end up moving the bathrooms down here, because as promised, these were just temporary. This will be the size of our corridor all the way up for transport. So we'll end up moving the ladder over, and that way we have room for fire poles, and in the future we'll have transit tubes. I am grabbing all these swamp chard hearts when we see them, and that way we can keep an eye on how many calories we have available before we need to start worrying, or at least planning for the future. I'm also digging over here because we need the space, second because we need the sedimentary rock, and lastly for a little bit more vision so we can continue to plan. Oh, that's always good to see. We have a thimble reed. I don't want to go bog buckets. While we will have a lot of polluted water, especially when we start smashing up all this polluted mud, I think bog buckets would consume way too much water considering we don't have a renewable source on the planetoid. Now, when we find the next planetoid and beam on over to it, we may find that there's plenty of water over there, and then we can start shipping it over here. But until that time, I don't want to make any solid plans. Oh, this is slime already. I'm not going to dig it up. Not because we care necessarily about the polluted oxygen, but rather because we don't want to start the spread of slime lung. Okay, well, that was a little bit more water than I wanted to drop. Apparently this entire pool is coming down. Not a big deal. It'll move over here. And excitingly, we have one of the cool Escher waterfalls. And as you can see, the entire pool is landing up in this one tile right here. Now, this may seem all fun, except for the fact when I do disturb this waterfall, this water is going to go absolutely everywhere. But for the meantime, it still looks pretty cool. Jumbo batteries done. Over into mess tables. Put the jumbo battery down, and next time they're somewhat drained, I'll go ahead and deconstruct this battery here. Okay, here's the plan. I'm going to build 3 tiles here, here, and here. We're not going to build this out any further. Let's go ahead and stop disinfecting the toilets. And then I'm going to open this up. Well, at least try without disturbing any of this slime lung. Of course, with the slime inside of polluted water, it won't make that big of a deal. All right, we got to get rid of it anyways. We'll deal with the repercussions after. Then we can also dig this out, and we might as well go down here with some ladders. We're up to 26,000 kilos here. All of that slime is falling into the water, so it won't be able to spread its disgusting germs. We still had a little bit that came out as it was falling, but this isn't too bad. All right, with our drainage plan already. Oh my goodness, it's another waterfall over here. This is hilarious. As you can see, there's 1,200 kilos. It's just not as much water. But basically what happens is the water comes down to this tile, starts to head over here, but then keeps bouncing up to the top where it then comes back down. Now, we're about to break this one because I'm going to put tiles all the way through here. Oh, Callie, not again. All right, if they fall down there, we are dead. So what we're going to do is cancel these digs. Let them dig this one, and this one. And that way Callie can jump back over. And here's all that water expanding. All it took was the deconstructing of this tile right here. Oh, happy day, it is our first pod. I normally always get a duplicate on cycle 3, as long as there's at least somebody that is okay. But looking at this, they're all pretty bad. Joshua's a nyctophobic, so we'd have to put light just for them to sleep. Plus, they only have supplying, ranching, doctoring. This Meep is anemic, and then the Camille has bottomless stomach. No, thank you, we'll take the joyous seeds. I'll see you in another 3 cycles, pod. Some early exploration news. We have found a couple of geysers. We have this one here. We'll find out what this is soon. We also have a natural gas geyser down here. The good thing is it is contained. The bad thing is it is erupting at 150 C. So it will slowly heat this area up until there's 5 kilos worth of gas in here and the natural gas geyser gets stifled. We also have this one here, and we can already see that it is a cobalt volcano. That's going to be fun to tame. We have found the supply teleporter input, a whole bunch of diamond. This looks delicious. We also have 2 wrecked satellites, which will be great for radiation and research. And it looks like the crashed satellite gives out more radiation than this wrecked satellite. Something to keep in mind. This level is dropped enough to where we could mop it, but we're going to wait until we drop this water here. Oh, I don't want that water to go anywhere yet, so we'll just drop this, then we'll build a barricade around this. That way we can build an area to where we can pitcher pump this water. Because these buildings are flooded, I don't think the wheel or the duplicants know that they're actually full, so we're going to disable the manual generator for now, at least until we get this area all cleaned up. I wonder, should I just go ahead and drop this water now? Yeah, I think so. We'll do something like this, and it'll drain everything here. Maybe we'll leave this sedimentary rock here so this polluted water, when it falls, it'll go this way and not infect our nice clean water. As suspected, the mud is falling, draining all this water with it. This place is starting to come together. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look too bad either, in my opinion, subjectively speaking. Okay, while we're up here, we might as well drain this, although we need a little bit of hard digging skill. Have we leveled up yet? No. Gave up is still 500 and something experience points away, so maybe some mopping will help them out. I've also got the initial plan for the polluted water tank, and I think the regular water tank's going to go right next to it. I'd like to make them a little smaller, but I know as soon as we start smashing up all the mud, it's going to create a lot of water, and we need a place to put it. I was about to ruin the entire playthrough until I caught the fact that the tank wouldn't have lined up with our future floor. So we've fixed that mess. Now the duplicants are going to get sopping wet. They're probably going to get hypothermia because there's going to be a whole lot of building and digging while they're underwater, but it's going to be okay. We're also going to have to be really careful here. We don't want to drain all of this into here, but I think we'll be fine as long as we do some smart corner building. We're going to dig over in here, and I've also enabled auto harvest on these 2 bog buckets. I'm going to keep an eye out for more naturally planted bog buckets because that would be ideal. We'd get some juicy bog jellies for the low cost of $3.99, i.e. without having to spend polluted water. Now we still are sitting at 36,000 calories and we have plenty of swamp chard to go. I'm also looking at possibly doing paku. For those you did not know, the old paku plank that I've used in the past no longer will work, or at least not as effectively because of their mood changes. So I'm looking forward to playing with the fish more in this playthrough. We have our skill points ready. Callie's going into some advanced research. There's their hat. Gave up right into hard digging. And Majan Lord will get some improved farming 1. Now you may wonder why I started off with a rancher farmer instead of the traditional 2 diggers. And it's because this planetoid is going to be pretty small. As you can see, here's the top left corner and there's the bottom right. That's right, it's cycle 6 and we've revealed 50% of the map. We've installed the new bathrooms, which this will give us the room bonus as well. And I think we might put the Great Hall right around here. We're also working on corner building in these plug slugs because we're being very careful to make sure we don't have a bunch of hydrogen hanging around. We'll eventually let them out, only as soon as I build some storage and put all the cobalt ore in it. Here's another pod. We're hoping for a no whammy. Okay, this is just getting horrible. This Catalina is only a doctor. Now they are handy, which makes them somewhat okay, but I like to save the doctor dupe for a dual job of doctor and decorator. And this Bubbles is slow learning, so that's not going to work either. We could take the brine. 2 tons of brine at this point in the game would be very nice, or a pufflet. Because water is so scarce, I think we're going to take the brine. As soon as the dupes came over here, it revealed the neutronium on the left-hand side. So it tells you if the pod's considered to be in the middle, because it's not a misaligned pod, that means the right side of neutronium is probably right around here. And here it is. We also have positively ID'd the teleporter receiver and transmitter. It's not going to tell us much by looking at this destination here, but we will know that it is a frozen forest, which is good and bad. The good is the fact that forest biomes have pips. It means we can grow crops for free if we pip plant them. It also means the jungle will probably have some Drecos. The bad news, though, is not a lot of water. There's only the potential of a cool slush geyser, and chances are there's only one. We could hope for more, but you know how that goes. So as soon as we find this cool slush geyser, we'll be able to find out how many duplicates we can maintain between the two. By the way, if you have not noticed in your playthroughs, it used to be that when you went to the star map, the game paused. It no longer does that. You can see the cycle counter moving it because I'm in ×3 speed here. But make sure you're paying attention because your duplicates can get stuck in all the bad things while you're lollygagging inside the star map. And if you listen, you'll be able to hear them digging and moving around in the background. Right beneath the cobalt volcano that we discovered earlier, we have found a gold volcano. Up here, every once in a while when I zoom in, I hear that it's a volcano. Yes, I know you can do the high alert trick, but I really don't like to do that. For those who didn't know, if you make the priority of the volcano the yellow alert, you can then scoop your mouse right over there and a tooltip's going to pop up and tell you exactly what it is. I don't like to do that because I like the duplicates to find out what it is instead, but to each their own. But because I've zoomed in on it, I can sort of hear the volcano-ish, so I think this is going to be another metal volcano. Then we have this one down here as well, with a bunch more polluted water. Oh, look at this. My precious. Beautiful 4 tiles of clean water. We'll have to be careful trying to grab it. Speaking of which, we've managed to mop up all the water in and around here. So now all we need to do is dump off all the excess into this bottle emptier. So our duplicates can finally stop being sopping wet. Well, once they finish building all of my water tanks. And now we're going to be careful digging around this water so I can get a pitcher pump into there and drop it off into here. Well, probably not here. I'm going to wait until I build our clean water tank over here. Never mind, I managed to get the mop trick going. As it was falling, it was small enough to mop, so Mason Lord started mopping everything up, and now we'll have convenient little bottles of clean water. Here's another pod, fingers crossed. We have a couple of options here. All 3 of these dupes are decent. I'm eyeballing Otto and Nisbet specifically. Nisbet would be another rancher, which is always going to be valuable. Otto would be another digger builder. And I don't know if we need another digger builder because, again, the asteroid's so small. But they do have Early Bird, Green Thumb, and Iron Gut. Not to mention Nisbet would start off farming, yet they're a plant murderer. They'd make up for it in the morning because the Early Bird, but I think in this case, it's Otto that's the good pick. Welcome to the colony, Nazgul. Now, Naz is an early bird, so we're going to have to do some changing around. I'm going to have to add another couple of schedules here. And that way we can have one entire schedule that Naz is able to work throughout the morning time and get their attribute bonuses. Nope, this one still has a couple of downtime, so we're going to go one more shift down. This one should be just fine. And there we go. Naz's new home is shift 4. We're getting some pretty consistent pressure damage here, and it's because there's 1,500 kilos of polluted water in this tile. So I'm going to deconstruct this one, build a tile here that'll push the polluted water over, and then rebuild this wall. Taking a look at the temperature overlay, you can see there's a lot of cold up in here and on the side, which is pretty interesting. But we've already found space. Not a lot of living space here. I think we've decided on our initial crop. We're down to 30,000 calories, no big deal. But I have to do something with all this slime. So why not feed it to some mushrooms? If we take a look at this dust cap here, you can see over the course of 7.5 cycles, it will then produce 2,400 calories worth of mushroom. But if we turn it into a fried mushroom, it's going to turn it into 2,800 calories. If we take the 2,800 calories from the fried mushroom and divide it by 7.5, we're getting a per cycle rate of 373 calories. In other words, each dust cap that we plant will give us 373 calories per cycle. Well, we know every duplicate likes to eat 1,000 calories per cycle, so when we divide 1,000 by 373, we know that it's going to take 2.68 or 2.7 mushrooms to feed each duplicate. For easier math, even though it's not erring on the side of caution, I'm going to say 2.5 mushrooms per dupe, and with 4 duplicates, I know I need at least 10 mushrooms. Well, this space is 9, and I think I can build out another one right here. And it's convenient because all the carbon dioxide's already sitting here. Right now, though, I need to move all this slime so it'll stop off-gassing. So we're going to go down to organic, hit slime, and then attempt the sweep. Now, I don't have a lot of water to spare, so as soon as there's enough water in here to stop that slime from off-gassing, I mean, 75 kilos should be plenty. So now we can save the rest of the water in that jug, and now none of the slime will be able to off-gas. What I should have done is put a farm tile here, because that would have also held the water. So maybe we'll redo this whole process, because I'd really like to have all the mushrooms sitting in here. And that would be 10 mushrooms, which I feel comfortable for 4 dupes. Now right now we only have 2 dust cap seeds. We're gonna go hunting around. I know there's a couple up here. There might be some more in the buried objects down here as well. But at least we have some calories coming. This colony just might be the colony of loud sleepers, and we're gonna deal with it. This Herald here is a decent cook, providing a +8 to cuisine. Yeah, they're a caregiver, which we don't really care about. And they're also a loud sleeper, but this ain't too bad. I already have our ranchers, our digger, our researcher, and our cook. Welcome to the colony, Doritos P. We're going to put Doritos P on shift 3, and that way they're the only ones sleeping around here. We also already have the mess table. Oh, I have forgotten to disable this water cooler. No, don't drink all the water, Callie. Some more exploration is revealed. We've reached the bottom of the map. Here's a wonderful magma biome. It does look like there was some neutronium here, so there may have been a potential for a volcano, but it is gone. The good news is it looks like there's no... Oh no. This is a pretty bad abyssalite break. You can see the igneous rock here is 1391 degrees, and the only reason we're not scalding to death right now is because carbon dioxide is such a poor conductor. This is a very, very bad abyssalite break, because players are not going to catch it unless they literally click on this button. And then by the time they get down there, it's going to be too late. We need to get down there and put some insulated tiles down. So we're going to change up research really quick. We did get the advanced research and the supercomputer. So we're going to go head first into insulated tiles and start building a strategy on how to get down here. What I might do is drop all this water down here. Yeah, it will boil some of it and turn it to steam, but it might be enough of a thermal barrier for our dupes to come down here and build a few insulated tiles. Because all the food we're using right now is this swamp chard heart, I don't need this ration box. Eventually, I'm going to build a kitchen and a little area that can store some more carbon dioxide to put a new ration box. It's probably going to be somewhere right here. And we'll start collecting carbon dioxide right down into this little area. Once this is complete, I want to show you a couple of weird things with these ration boxes to make sure that they stay in a sterile atmosphere. But there's a very specific reason why I'm building them like this. In the meantime, while that research is being completed, we have the supercomputer going right here. So that way, no matter what machine the researcher is using, they're going to get the well-lit buff. We've also neared completion on our water tank. Yes, it's quite a bit smaller than the polluted water tank. And with the 2 ration boxes finished, I can show you why this works here. By going to the overlay and looking in the gas, you can see where we have some carbon dioxide. It's going to take a little while for it to fill up. But when it does, we need these tiles to be filled. The reason being is because the ration box itself is actually a 2x2 box. And if there's polluted oxygen up here, it will still cancel out the sterile atmosphere needed from the ration boxes. Hopefully I'll be able to highlight this for you in a little while. We're going to turn all these fried mushrooms to wonderful mushrooms as predicted. We're also going to take any bog jellies and turn them to swampy delights. It's not going to be very often because we don't have any planted, but for instance this bog bucket's ready. Gave Up is ready for super hard digging, which is great. I'm also using the new move to commands to move the polluted dirt up and out of this area, and that way it'll stop off-gassing, which very likely could be interrupting the carbon dioxide from staying down here, or at worst, overwriting it. Now once the cook does start cooking, it will actually help fill this area with carbon dioxide for the simple reason they're going to be standing here cooking and breathing. And as they exhale, the carbon dioxide will fall right down into this pit. While we tried to hold it off for as long as possible, we have quite a bit of slime lung hanging around now. We'll eventually be able to fix it, but for the time being, we're just going to pretend like slime lung is just the cost of doing business. It's going to give the duplicants -1% second to breath, -3 to athletics, and some coughing. And if you're confused about what the -1% is, it has to do with how often they breathe. In other words, a duplicate with slime lung is much more likely to suffocate, or to put it in a different frame, they will suffocate a lot faster. Research is about to come to a halt. We're down to 978 kilos worth of dirt. There's some more sitting around here. I had to put a couple of ladder tiles here to be able to get another tile worth of dirt, but we're soon going to have to start going through all this mud using the salad spinner, aka the sludge press, to be able to reclaim some dirt. But that's a potential the way you could hard lock yourself out of a game. If you've used all the dirt around here and you're stuck behind certain techs to where you couldn't develop any more dirt. But then again, I look around the map and there happens to be a lot more dirt sitting around even before we have to start using the salad spinner. False alarm, no big deal. We are up to 9 dust caps, and I'm planning on planting 4 more since we're up to 5 duplicates. This will give us a total of 13, which I think is a decent number. We're almost done with the research that's going to be required for us to get down here and fend off this abyssalite break. The carbon dioxide in here is up to 700 degrees. We could end up hurting a dupe. I'm going to try not to. But if I don't take care of this soon, this entire biome will just start heating up. Since we're going to be down there, we're going to be able to grab some more mushrooms as well. In addition to our fried mushrooms, we're also going to get the occasional pacu fillet. I'm going to try to load this place up with as many wild pacu as we can. And that way we occasionally get a little bit of extra food. Eventually I need to move all these folks as well, but we're going to have to wait. Actually, Maison Lord now has Critter Ranching 1, so we can move some critters around, which is going to be great because I can take care of the plug slugs. I absolutely love the new Move To command. And look, it puts them in a little fish baggie. The fish baggie is so adorable. Research on the insulated tile has been completed, so now we can begin our emergency mission. I'm going to build a ladder that goes straight down. We'll come across there. We'll end up moving all these fish too. And we're going to dig a small path so this water drains in there, hopefully cooling it off just enough so we can build 3 insulated tiles. I'm not going to open up the entire pathway because I want the carbon dioxide to make sure it stays filled in these areas. If I had more options when we were building it, I would have built the farm tiles down here, and that way there would have been 2 slots for the dust cap to grow, making sure that they stayed in carbon dioxide. Shouldn't be too big of a deal though, and they should grow just fine here. Our digging expedition has revealed a copper volcano in this location, so now we have copper, gold, and cobalt. The water has landed, and so far so good, partially because when the polluted water touched the igneous rock, well, it produced some dirt because it was boiling. Well, when that happened, it then turned the dirt into sand. Oh yeah, this is not good. Look at all that wonderful steam. Luckily, the water didn't get higher than 37, so our dupes were just fine. This steam will eventually calm down. Oh, this dirt up here is 120 degrees now. The steam will eventually condense because the surrounding area is not that warm. So it looks like we've done it and fended off the emergency. And even got some free water for it too. Our last pod gave us some omelets, which is going to be perfect. We'll help fend off the munchies while we wait for the rest of our dust caps to grow. That's going to about do it for this episode. I'm looking forward to reading everything you have to say in the comments about this upcoming series, or what you think a potential goal should be. Right now, I'm thinking maybe Frost Burgers. Something a little simple, achievable, and won't take 42 episodes. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.